Let's move into how'd you get to Louisiana, early 90s?
Well, I was working at Richards, and we had a distributor down there, one of our distributors, and he called in, and I had started taking some of the calls for troubleshooting, and it was Denny Blackett.
Denny.
And they were having a small problem, and we just got to talking. And
Denny built gas stations. Is that what him and his
yeah,
dad did?
Yeah, they built convenience stores and sold petroleum equipment, handling equipment. And we got to talking, and first thing you know, we was talking about duck hunting. And because him being in Louisiana, I asked him, I said, man, you shoot any ducks down there? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I got one of the best pits in the area. And he said, you want to come down and hunt anytime, you're welcome. I said, now be careful. I said, you invite me down there, I'll come. And he said, I'm inviting you. So I went in there and told Alton, I said, hey, we just got invited down to Louisiana, hunt with Denny Blackett.
Alton didn't know Denny and his dad at the time, did he? He did.
Yeah.
He already knew them.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They'd done business with Alton for years.
Okay.
And so, long story short, we loaded up and took off. And
was that on the Kellick farm where y'all first trip with him?
Well, it was actually where Denny was hunting was it was a place called Trails End.
Okay.
And
that's across the highway over there.
It was on down the gravel road, and, a little bit to the south from where my lease was. But we went down there and hunted 3 days, and we killed, I think, 58 on our first trip. And, it was just awesome. I'd never seen anything like that. Even, I'd been to Illinois a lot hunting with Gary McCree up there.
We'll get into Gary here in a minute.
Yeah, and so that next spring, I guess in the summer, Denny called me and asked me, he said, hey, man, he said, I'm thinking about leasing a spot, and said there's enough room on it for 2 pits. And would you be interested in leasing a pit? And I talked to Hank and Alton, and both of them said, well, yeah, let's do it. So ended up building a pit here in Rockwood and taking it to Louisiana. And I think we hunted down there about 6 or 7 years before I moved to Arkansas.
On that. That's when I started going.
That's when I started taking all you boys down there. You and Jason.
You run us, Darwin
Gould, and different.
Daryl Payne went with us. Daryl still tell you that was the coldest he's ever been in his life down there in the rain shooting teal.
It was rain, and them teal was pouring in there. I mean, that was an awesome hunt.
But I think now, I can't imagine ever, unless you went with Ken out in California, seeing a better duck hunting than those mid-90s, late 90s in Louisiana.
They were awesome years.
That pit you had beside Denny, I remember sitting there, and those cats would be done 30 minutes, maybe not even that long. Some mornings, 15 minutes.
Yeah, they would they'd kill out pretty quick. And usually it'd be 7 or 8 of them in the blind,
Yeah, best looking field I've ever laid eyes on. Down there, those 2 pits.
They absolutely did it right. I've never seen it. I've never seen a pit since I left Louisiana that was done up like we done them down there.
Right.
And Denny actually done a better job than we did, because the guy that was in with him, John would take walk boards. He had walk boards that run from the dump road all the way to the pit.
I remember that.
I mean, you could actually pull up on a 4-wheeler, get off of it in tennis shoes, and walk to Denny's pit.
And you couldn't see that pit.
Oh, it was absolutely. You had to be careful.
Yeah.
You fall in that sucker. It was so low, and I mean, it was just perfect.
You could eat off the floor of that thing too.
I mean, clean as a pin. Yeah, it was awesome.
We might a time or two sneak over there when them boys got done.
We did. We snuck over, and Denny let us. He'd tell us, say, we're done. Go over and get in it.
Me and Odell would jump out there and run over there.
Right. I remember you boys going over there one day and killing them.
Yeah.
Me and Hank stayed over in our pit.
Yeah, I remember that. But that's how I remember that blind just being so clean. And
it's
it's
immaculate. If I dropped a bologna sandwich on the floor,
I
wouldn't have any problem picking it up and eating it.
And I know later on we got into Arkansas. You dropped something in the pit, and most of them's
It float.
yeah, it's full of water.
Yeah, they do it a little different out there.
Yeah, but you mentioned Gary McCree. Let's talk about him a minute. You told me Mike McLemore gave you McCree's number.
Yeah, he did. He gave me Gary, and I was looking for some place to go.
This is early 90. I remember
Yeah,
going like 93, 94.
I was looking for somewhere to go for an early hunt, and I was talking to Mike, and I said, anywhere it opens up early? And he said, yeah, Southern Illinois. He said, call these McCree boys. And so I called.
Gary and Allen.
Yeah, and actually ended up hunting with Gary.
Yeah.
And I think we went up there about 4 or 5 years in a row and hunted with him a couple times a year.
Yeah, I went a bunch with y'all.
Yeah. Wesley Strader, I took him up there, and Charlie Long and Glenn, and just a whole lot of folks.
I know McCree's probably why I'm hooked on goose hunting. First time we were standing up there, what was that farm, that good farm he had? I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember the name. There's a big hog farm there,
Was there a railroad come through there?
There's an old railroad that went through there. And
that's where I remember Gary blowing that flute he would modify. He blew that flute for me over by that railroad track, and I was done.
He was hooked.
Yeah, I might as well, like I went to see Elvis or something.
Oh, yeah, he was so awesome.
Yeah.
On a duck and a goose call.
Yeah, he was a killer. Still is.
Still is, yeah.
Now he's turned into an artist. He's painting pictures.
I've seen some of that. He's awesome. Yeah. He's an awesome guy, Gary is.
Yeah.
I always loved hunting with him. And
you even went North Dakota with him some?
Yeah, I went up North Dakota and hunted with him 2 years in a row.
Randy Bartz, I think you
met
said.
Randy Bartz up there. As when he first come out with the flag,
Yeah.
He's the flagman, of course. And
back then, before the internet, YouTube, I mean, that stuff was a mystery.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you didn't see that stuff.
We actually hunted out the first final approach. Prototype layout blinds up there with
North Dakota.
And
You say you stayed in an old church or schoolhouse?
Schoolhouse.
Schoolhouse.
There's no elementary school. That the guy that owned it, his name was Dean Kirshner.
Yeah.
And he had actually turned it into a clubhouse.
That's a name I hadn't heard in a while.
Yeah. And I remember we was up there hunting one time, and just show you what a small world it is. Back in when they built those schools, the gymnasium was built onto it.
Yeah.
And so when you come in from hunting, they, of course, prepared the meals and everything. They had a lunchroom in there just like the school did.
School.
And but you could go down there in that gymnasium and play basketball. And so me and old Hank decided we was going to go down there and play a little basketball. And we walked in, and our set, I had to look twice, but there was a bunch of boys from Knoxville that we knew. And they was up there hunting.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, like I say, back then, that I remember y'all would come home from those trips, and we'd come down here just to hear.
Yeah,
I mean, you didn't
stories. Yeah.
You couldn't go jump on YouTube and watch North Dakota duck hunting, goose hunting. I mean,
right.
there's a lot of stuff secret. Like McCree, Collin. Back then, him, Grounds, that bunch. That was your goose callers.
Oh, that was the cream of the crop right there.
Yeah.
No doubt. You had Tim and Sean Mann.
Yep.
And
there's just a handful of excellent, good callers.
That's
but now, since YouTube and the videos, these kids now can let it rip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just from watching and learning.
Watching it and learning it.
Back then, you didn't. I mean, if you lived here, you couldn't hear anybody blow a goose call.
No, you had to learn it on your own.
Yeah, that's what I did.
If you was lucky enough to go on a guided hunt with some of these guys,
Yeah.
you could learn a lot.
And those guys were heroes back then. I mean,
oh yeah, still are a lot of them.
Oh yeah, still my heroes.
Yeah.
And that's when I heard McCree on that goose call, and I didn't have one yet. And somehow I think Tim Devaney brought in that Mossy Oak Whistling Wings down here. That's how the tape got here.
I'm thinking that's how it did get here.
Yeah, we sat up there up front and watched that, and
Yeah.
Grounds was on there. This is before we hadn't run into Grounds yet, but
Right.
later on we do.
Yeah.
But seeing Tim on that video blowing that half breed, I mean,
Tim could light it up.
yep, that was went straight to Cabela's and probably had to call in or mail in an order for a half breed.
Yeah.
And I remember Derwin had one. Derwin didn't like it. He let me have it, and I just took off with it. I mean, back then we hammered the geese with that thing down here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just no loud, high pitched sound.
Yeah.
So
that's the good old days.
yeah,
Look back on it.
I'll still have Hank give me his McCree flute, his sign. I know you still have one, but
Yep.
we were duck hunting on Uchee Point one morning, probably around Christmas, and Hank unwrapped that and said, "Here, I want you to have this,"
Yeah.
because he knew how much I like the goose calling.
Oh yeah.
I still have that thing put up. I told McCree about it the other day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So- Let's talk about, you left Louisiana around 99, 2000.
99, 2000, I think's when I give up the lease down there, and I let Rick. I was friends with Rick Dunn at that point, and Harry Polovino, and they talked me into moving up and leasing in Arkansas.
That's when we got to Holloway Farm.
No, we actually started out. First lease I had was at Carlisle. It was
Okay.
Billy Vincent Farm, and
Billy Bennett,
Bennett. That's right.
Yeah, Billy Bennett.
Bennett, and
that little white farmhouse.
yeah, it was. We stayed in that old white farmhouse. I remember the roof leaked on it.
Oh yeah, you had to,
Raining, if it was raining, you had to move to bed.
yeah. I remember that.
But
About the time the Robo Duck come around too, I remember.
yeah, that was actually Robo Duck. The last 2 years I was in Louisiana, the Robo came out,
That already started.
and that's changed the scene right there.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that
it turned people that wasn't killing anything into duck killers.
I remember my first memories of it was at Billy Bennett's and one of them roll tops, and you didn't have to stare anywhere else. Just
Just watch them
close that
Robo.
lid and watch that Robo.
Didn't even have to call.
No, it didn't take long. But you mentioned Harry.